The Will Anderson trade, one of the biggest trades that this Texans regime has made, one of the biggest trades in recent draft history. A lot of takes on it, and there's extra layer to it that connects the Texans to a hated rival that could have them looking really smart or really dumb. Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room.
The Will Anderson trade, some things that are not being talked about enough and some stuff that connects the Texans to a hated division rival as well as other connections. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. I'm Landry Locker, a.k.a. the king of localizing here on YouTube. The Will Anderson trade, I remember exactly where I was when this happened. I was actually a few feet away from the second-year players. Kenyon Green, Dameon Pierce, Anderson's former college teammate Christian Harris, and thousands of Texans fans. Minutes after C.J. Stroud was selected, they saw the Texans trade up. They saw the Texans get both guys that were talked about the most as potential number two selections. They got both of them, and the crowd went nuts. This is what the scene was like when it went down.
The Houston Texans select Will Anderson.
Good Dameon. Christian Harris saying bye-bye. Time to go. Bye-bye. All right, there you go. So that was what we were experiencing when it went down. There was a lot of excitement, but immediately the draft nerds began to criticize. The Texans had given up pick 12, pick 33, and a 2024 third-round pick. They have a 2024 first and 2024 third to move up and make that pick. Now, I don't think one thing that I don't think is discussed enough when talking about this trade is the fact that Texans had the extra draft compensation from the Watson trade. In other words, they walked into a casino, they got a few $100s comp, so they were a little bit more aggressive at the table. Other thing is, we can wonder and we can sit there and say and ask the question, what do the Texans do if they don't trade up to 3 in 2023? I think the answer perhaps at 12, they take a receiver. Maybe we're talking about Jackson Smith and Jigba. Maybe in the second round, they're looking at a tight end, Sam Laporta, which would be exciting. And who knows what they do with the first round pick. But I think it's safe to say that in the short term, the Texans don't do what they did last year without Will Anderson. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that way, whether it's the actual production, the hidden stats, and the actual culture. When you hear DeMeco Ryans speak and you know that there was a discussion about Will Anderson or CJ Stroud, I think the fact that you had the extra draft equity, it allows you to be a little bit more aggressive. And I think Will Anderson, there's obvious value, and then I think there's hidden value. And you can kind of see it when he spoke to the media at the start of the offseason. He sounds just like his head coach, DeMeco Ryans.
The expectations in the Texans have always been the same. No matter the outside noise, no matter the media, any of that, like we have a standard that we have to play to. We have a mentality that we play to, and that's the only thing that we have to play to is everything that happens in this building. And I would just say complacency. There's no place for that here at all. What we did last year was last year. What we're going to do this year is what we're going to do this year, and we can't focus on the past. So right now, it's just keeping that same mentality, and that's the swarm mentality. When all else fails, what are we going to do? We're going to go out there and swarm, and so that's what type of team we're going to be heading into this new season.
Swarm.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. That's Will Anderson, a.k.a. Baby DeMeco Ryans, speaking about this. Like, this is the guy that they wanted. This is a guy that they had extra picks to go up and get. In the debates after the fact, I think comparing this to the Julio Jones trade and all that, I think it's a little bit disingenuous. I don't agree with that mindset, and I don't think they're able to do what they do. And I think his best ball is ahead of him. There are some things though when it comes to this Will Anderson trade that I don't think are spoken of enough. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. Be sure to subscribe, like, ride along, follow me along during the season. Going to be covering practices, all that, doing a lot more other stuff. So stay tuned for that. The connection when it comes to the most important position. It's all about the quarterback. A wise man once told me it's all about the quarterback, and I think we know that very well in Houston. You feel really good about your quarterback in C.J. Stroud. You feel like he's going to be the guy for a while. Meanwhile, in Tennessee, they have a polarizing quarterback by the name of Josh Allen, goes by the government name of Will Levis, who, I mean, depending on what you think about him, the one thing about Will Levis is, first of all, the Titans didn't value him as a franchise quarterback, or they would have selected him with their original first-round pick. But he fell to the second round. He was kind of that green room guy that got all the camera attention. And then he was drafted by the Tennessee Titans as a result of the 33rd overall selection that the Texans had sended to Arizona. This is a little nobody's talking about.
Arizona Cardinals have traded the 33rd pick to the Tennessee Titans. With the 33rd pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Will Levis, quarterback, Kentucky.
AKA Josh Allen. So now, if you look at the rivalry between the Texans and Titans, well documented, the uniforms, the old Oiler connections, Hannah McNair's fighting words. If Will Levis ends up being really, really good, then you can connect him to the Will Anderson trade. If he ends up being really bad, then you can still connect him in a good way. Something very, very interesting. Did the Texans put the Titans on the mediocre treadmill with the Will Anderson trade? Just another thing to think about when you talk about this trade that D'Amico Ryans and Nick Caserio made. Training camp begins in about a month and a half-ish. We'll be out there. We got you covered right now. I know you hear it all the time. It must be a slow news day. It's kind of that time. It's the dead time. Players getting rested up, players getting ready, and then we're going 100 miles an hour. We'll be approaching the 2-year anniversary 3 months from today when this channel started, and it's only going to get stronger. It's only going to get bigger. Got a lot of exciting stuff planned, a lot of benchmarks throughout the month and throughout the season, throughout the week, and we're going to keep it going. The Texans' interest is increased. The Will Anderson trade is a big reason, and that might be even deeper than we originally thought when you factor in the Tennessee connection. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Be sure to subscribe, like, right along. What would you have done if the Texans hadn't traded for Will Anderson? What would you have used 12-33 in the first round pick for? What would your dream scenario had been? Would you have gone Jackson Smith and Jigba, Sam Laporta? Hindsight's 2020, who knows? But I think the reality is a lot of people, most people, many people, very excited that Will Anderson is here. Appreciate you for coming through. Subscribe, like, right along. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Thanks for coming through the locker room.
Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localized, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localized every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not